Nashville 2 podcast with your host, Edward Fox.
G'day, viewers and listeners. It's Ed Fox back with another great episode of Nashville 2, where we tell your story. You're Nashville 2. So if you know somebody that deserves to be featured on here, maybe they've got a mentoring program, maybe they run a small business in their community, maybe they run a big business, maybe they run a nonprofit, maybe it's a preacher of a local church doing some good, get them in contact with us and let's tell their story. Today, my special guest is Griselda Stein, and she is one half of a dynamic duo at Stein Dental. G'day, Griselda. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, Ed. How's it going?
Good, good. Did I get that right? Are you the dynamic duo, you and Dr. Stein?
Yeah, I'm the man behind the curtain, so to speak. Yeah, he does all the the delivery and takes care of the patients and such.
Okay, and when she says delivery, he's not delivering pizzas; he's delivering the services at the dental office, right? So,
right, yeah,
exactly. And so, how long have you guys been in the Middle Tennessee area? Didn't you guys come from Chattanooga?
Yeah, we were in Chattanooga. Dr. Stein had a practice there for 38 years, and then we moved up here to Nashville to be closer to family. In 2016, we opened up the current practice that we have here.
Now, were you guys raised in Chattanooga?
Yeah, Alan, Dr. Stein is born and raised. Went to UT Memphis. That was the only time he was away from home, really. And I'm a transplant, much like yourself. I arrived here from the deep South, Mexico.
Okay.
And was raised in California and then moved to Tennessee. Fortunately, moved to Tennessee. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we could get into that too. But as you can see, I say Australian by birth, American by choice, and
exactly.
Viewers and listeners, listeners anyway, I'm wearing my American flag t-shirt. You can't see it. I've also got my American flag Crocs on, so we're sitting here in the studio. Now, the thing that I didn't know until Griselda told me in an email the other day is Dr. Stein is her husband. Is it hard to refer to him as Dr. Stein all the time, or do you fall into Alan as well?
No, it's so easy for me to call him Dr. Stein. I mean, obviously our relationship in the practice is a totally professional one. Right. So he's Dr. Stein and I'm Griselda. At home, obviously it's different, but yeah. But right. No, it's Dr. Stein. And it's funny because, people will say, oh, I didn't know you guys were married. Why do you call him Dr. Stein? Like, because he's a doctor. He's Dr. Stein.
Yeah, I didn't have a clue, right? So I didn't have a clue. I didn't put two and two together, which, being a dumb Aussie at some point, what do you expect? But I have the same thing. Dr. Stein's practice is one of my clients through another business I have. And my company president and also senior broker out of Wichita is an Aussie. And everybody thinks that Robin and I are married when in fact we are not, because we're both Aussies, right? So she's married to a Kansas guy, like he's like 6'9". I'm not going to mess with that. And I'm married to the most wonderful wife in the world, and that's trademark. So I see that happen all the time. Oh, I spoke to your wife on the phone the other day. No, I don't think you did. Yeah, I did. Robin. Yeah, Robin's not my wife. Oh, really? So I have the opposite happen. So how you've been in practice, you guys? Did you meet him before he became a dentist, or did you meet him after?
No, after he. I actually was working with another dentist, and they met up at a professional meeting or something, and then we were invited to come over to his practice to see kind of how he was running his show, because he was doing really well with the same resources, like. He had the same number of staff and whatever, but he was doing so much better than we were doing. And I'm like, well, I'll have whatever he's having. So, so that's how we were introduced. So we started off just purely professional, platonic, that sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah. One thing led to another, working in close environments. Those things happen. So tell me a little bit about the practice and what your focus is, and whereabouts in the Nashville metro are you guys? So just
okay. So we're off of White Bridge Pike, near the Bellevue, Belmead area, And bread and butter, I think I told you that. We're a bread and butter practice, meaning we do all the basic stuff, cleanings, fillings, dentures, crowns, bridges, root canals, that sort of thing. Not so much cosmetic, not that we won't do it. Of course we can and we will, but that's, there are just so many people that need general dental health that's what we're focusing on. We're focusing on getting you healthy before we get into all the, veneers and bleaching and all that stuff. I mean, you need to be healthy to do that anyway. So, yeah.
Right. And so, when you do that sort of stuff, are you guys currently bringing on accepting new patients as well?
Yeah, all the time. We're actually, I think we're ranked. If you Google like emergency dental care, I think we're like in the top 3 or whatever. And I didn't know that. It's funny when you're not in the field that you work. Like I'm not a dentist, so I don't have I've been in sales and administration all my life, pretty much, and and an educator. So yeah, I was a teacher, and then I got into sales and administration. But the interesting thing about certain practices is that they will not accept emergencies, and it troubled me because I thought, well, gosh, if somebody's got an emergency, I mean, those are the people you really want to help, right? Because they're in trouble. And it turns out that the concept is that if someone's an emergency patient, they're not really a patient for life, right? They're kind of a drive-by.
Right.
And if you just knew, sadly, how many emergency patients come our way who are in the emergency simply because they do not have a regular dentist. They just don't go to the dentist regularly, or they've never been educated on the value of dental care or whatever. So I find that astonishing and troubling a little bit, because I think, well, come on now. We're doctors. So I do refer to Dr. Stein as doctor for another reason, is that he really is a doctor. We answer our phone 24 hours a day. So if any of our patients call, we're there. We can answer the phone. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to perform surgery at 3 a.m, but we're definitely going to be there to at least, talk you off the ledge or whatever. So
I would reckon that you wouldn't want somebody operating on you at 3 o'clock in the morning after you just woke up out of a deep sleep. But maybe I'm in enough pain. I remember that as a kid growing up. In Australia, you didn't have the services that you have over here for 24 hours, right? And it was just a basic swimmer's earache, and I thought I was going to die, right? Like, because it didn't matter what my folks gave me. I'm like, find a doctor, like I'm dying, And over here, my niece is over from Australia right now, and so she's helping remind me of all the things that we don't have in Australia that they have over here, like the emergency services, and that's the 24-hour pharmacies and those sort of things. Australian little country towns roll up the sidewalks at about 7 o'clock, and you can't find a thing. And so just the fact that you offer all those extra services, and I would imagine that when you do some of those emergency services, that gives you a way to turn that emergency into a client for life. I mean, they could be,
of course.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, I mean, especially if it's like, again, somebody who, just has an emergency because they haven't been in 5, 10, whatever, 3 to 10 years, But another thing is that one of the other reasons I love having emergency care is, we have a lot of tourists now in Nashville, right? We're like top 5 in the country right now.
Crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. So I get to meet just incredible people from, all over the world. And, you don't want their experience in Nashville to be tainted by some horrible incident, where they fell off a scooter or got into a bar fight or something.
Yeah.
And they can't get it fixed before they head back home. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's another thing that we do, and we like to do it.
And I'm sure you've seen so many changes in dentistry over the years, right? Over the last, I forget how long you said, 30 odd years that Dr. Stein has been a general dentist. But from your perspective, from an office administrator point of view, and basically the marketing director and every other hat that you've worn in a dental practice over the years, because it is a business. Let's be honest. It is a business. The goal is to give good patient care in a timely manner, right, at a reasonable price. And when we could, I'm just off the cuff here because that's
You're hired.
Thank you. That's what most businesses that, sometimes people don't understand. The goal of the business is to provide a service to a client and do it well. And if they're not doing that, they're not going to stay in business. But what are some of the things that you've seen over the years, that the biggest changes in dentistry?
Well, two things. Number one, there was in the
Did you say tooth things or
tooth things? Good one. You're punny. Okay, so one of them was, do you remember that extreme makeover show that was popular? I want to say 90s, early 2000s, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that did a lot because, these ladies that would go on the show, they would get a total makeover, body, new teeth, all that stuff. And so that really sort of changed the landscape of dentistry, because now everybody wanted that perfect Hollywood smile that they were seeing on Extreme Makeover, right? And they could see like the way this person looked before her teeth were fully fixed, and then the after was just like astonishing, right? And so that definitely, if nothing else, it put attention on dentistry in a good way, right? Normally when you talk to people about dentistry, they're like, oh my gosh,
right?
They'd have to be dying before they got dragged to a dentist, right? Which, and again, poor marketing on the dentistry's part, poor performance on some of our players, and I do appreciate that people have that fear. And then the other thing is, again, with just recently with the pandemic and so forth, people did start to kind of focus like, okay, I do need to stay healthy. I do need to, not be, susceptible to the dangers of the world out there. And I do feel like a lot of people, I mean, yes, a certain sector of the population probably sat home and ate Cheetos all day, but I feel like a lot more people, started to focus on like, okay, what do I need to do to get healthy, and oral health, like your mouth is the gateway to your overall health. So everything you put in your mouth is going to go to the rest of your body. And so I tell people there's things I didn't understand, which now I can sound very educated on, which is like, if you're missing teeth, you're not chewing properly. If you're not chewing properly, your digestion gets thrown off. If your digestion gets thrown off, then your body suffers, right? You have weight issues. You could have diabetic issues. You could have malnutrition issues. So even if you, quote unquote, eat good food, if you're not digesting it properly, it's not doing the job it's supposed to do for you. So that was one big thing that I just went, oh my gosh, I had no idea. If you're missing teeth, especially your molars, then it's not doing the job it's doing. It's supposed to be doing, I mean. So that was one thing. The other thing is, of course, any bacteria that are in your mouth, every time you swallow, they're going into your body. And so then that can lead to, all sorts of weird things. And I tell people, if you have weird headaches or dizziness, or you just for no reason all of a sudden, get a dizzy spell, or God, there's other things, or even just the old standby, bad breath, any of these things. Yeah, these are bacterial in nature, and they can be handled quite easily and quite rapidly with proper care. But you have to know, right? You have to be educated. And so, for anybody that's listening who maybe has had a persistent bad breath issue, or who is missing teeth and doesn't know why, even though they're dieting and eating well, they're not losing weight, this could be it. It could be something that's causing that. So
right. Yeah, there's so many things. Well, I was at a networking event the other day, and a dentist stood up and gave some more things that I had never thought about. And her focus on her practice is some of the issues with sleep apnea, because the jaw is not sitting right, or the teeth aren't sitting right, and you're snoring and you've got sleep apnea. And she works with a sleep study doc to help clear that up with some dental, what do you call them? Appliances?
Like an appliance, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's that too. And then she said, and then the one that I had always thought of is just confidence. Because I had a friend in school that chipped his front tooth and he was always holding his hand over his face. And, just the confidence you get from a good set of teeth, or a good smile anyway. So yeah, I think there's a lot of times we don't understand all that goes into that. And a little fix, like you said, with extreme makeover can make a huge difference. Do you find that what do you recommend, or what is the standard for dental care each year? Is it 1 or 2 cleaning visits? How does that work?
Well, it does depend, but we always the generally agreed on consensus is twice a year, right? Twice a year. And if you're a smoker, 4 times a year or more. Right. If you take medication, a lot of medication, prescription drugs or street drugs, if then yeah, more 4 or more times a year. A lot of what happens with drugs and smoking and drinking even is that the gums tend to suffer. They tend to dry out and just have issues. And then when those fail, then your teeth start to loosen and fall out. You know what I'm saying? So your teeth may be perfectly healthy, but if your gums are failing, then your teeth got nothing to hold on. It's like erosion. The tree's going to fall over, right, even though the roots are fine. So that's another issue. The standard is twice a year. We're not asking for a lot. Just come see us, because 6 months to a body is really kind of a long time. A lot of things change during that time period. Women get pregnant. And 6 months later, they're just about ready to give birth. Yeah. With men, it's a lot slower. The men aren't really that big of a problem, which is great. But if they smoke or drink, then it's another issue.
As a diabetic, that I get more checkups, right? So
right,
diabetic becomes important too. So we're not saying our listeners are smoking the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. Just take care of your body, take care of your health. And I know what it's like. And a lot of us have been there, having a toothache or whatever. I always say, when I'm at a dentist, and we've got a couple that are in Trade Bank up in Wichita that I've used, I always like to book my appointments at 2:30 on a Tuesday. And, and so they'll ask me at the counter, well, what time do you want to book your appointment for? I'm like, there's only one time to book an appointment to a dentist. And they said, what's that? I said, 2:30.
2:30.
And so, and they some of them get it and some of them don't. And then you'll hear some laughter from the back of the office, right? It's like somebody back there has got it. And, I like it. To me, like, laughter is like one of those things, Reader's Digest taught us for the last 100 years that laughter is the best medicine, right? And so
always.
We were so stressed during COVID and all that sort of stuff. I was used to working from home, so I was still getting up doing my regular thing. But all of my friends had to figure out, how do I function working from home? When I don't have these things I'm used to doing at the office or whatever, or at the business. And for me, that wasn't a problem. I'd had to struggle with that when I first started working at home, right? But I issued a couple of dad joke books, and so now I've gone fully into this dad joke thing and helping people out. But you know what?
You and Dr. Stein will get along great.
Okay, well, good. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is you've been up here since 2016. But what are some of your hidden gems? We do this on the show where we talk about at least 3 hidden gems of things that you guys like to do, whether it be places to eat or places to hang out or whatever it is that you think sometimes there could be people that aren't aware. Well, give me one.
So House of Cards, if you've seen the billboards, the House of Cards, I used to see that billboard driving to work pretty often, and I'd be like, what is that? I thought it was like, I don't know, it looked like a gambling club. Well, it turns out it's better than that. It's a magic show, dinner and a magic show. It's tucked away in the basement of the Johnny Cash Museum downtown. And it's it's swanky. They have a dress code, no pictures, the whole 9 yards. But it is one of the best experiences that I think you will have in Nashville. It really is top of the line. And it's become our go-to place for Christmas dinner for the staff. So that's where we take the staff for Christmas dinner, just because, it's not something you would do, first of all, daily or even weekly basis.
Right.
But it's such a treat. It's such a joy.
So
And it's
show, what's like a magic show?
yeah. So
Okay.
they have tableside magic, which, you like close proximity. They'll,
Around,
you go to a table, you can watch them do their card tricks and stuff and be amazed by that. And then they have a theater show after your meal. So you have your meal and then you can go sit down and have a theater show, and it's spectacular. Every time we've gone, we've just been just stunned and amazed by the performances. And name magicians, so people you've seen on like Penn and Teller or Vegas or LA or New York or something. So
Cool. Yeah, I'd never heard of it. House of Cards. Awesome. Okay, well, we're actually on a roll. So why don't we jump into the next one? What's something else that you guys like to do that you know around Nashville that other people should know?
So the other one is, for we eat a lot. We use our teeth. We use our teeth a lot. So one of our other favorite eateries is McDougal's Chicken and Wings on 12th Avenue South, and it's great atmosphere, family friendly. Just as far as I'm concerned, the best chicken fingers anywhere. So I know it's like Nashville hot chicken and all that. You guys probably already all know that, so I'm not bringing that up. But McDougal's Chicken and Wings, great fries, great salads, great chicken. Yeah.
Okay. Any secret hacks or things that you like to do? Has they got special sauces or anything like that?
No, not really, because I'm a kind of a creature of habit, so I always order the snack basket, which is I think like 3 chicken fingers and fries and sauce. But I like to make my Arnold Palmers. You know what that is? That's the half lemonade, half iced tea.
Lemonade. Yep.
Yeah, so they have great, good lemonade, good iced tea, so it's tasty and delicious. Yeah.
Okay, so get an Arnold Palmer, mix an Arnold Palmer. Do you have do you get the drinks yourself and mix it yourself, or did they mix?
Yeah, no, you serve yourself, so you can make it, as sweet or unsweet. I like it unsweet, so you can, what is it, season to taste,
Right.
you can, yeah.
And again, you're blowing me out of the water, because one of the reasons I love doing this show is I find out places. I've been in Nashville. I bought the business in July of 20, but we got stuck in Bowling Green for a year because of Alice's work. And so we moved to Franklin in December of 21. And so it's just over a year, right, that we've been here. And neither of these I'd heard of. So that's exciting.
Wow.
Talk to different clients. Okay, well, I'm just going to knock the 3. You got a third one for me?
I do. I am a big sort of antiquer, if that's a word, antiquer. I like antiquing, not necessarily even to buy, but I really enjoy kind of reminiscing, going down some. I go, oh, my mom had that, or oh, grandma had that. You know what I mean? So the Gas Lamp Antique Mall, right there off of Powell.
Gas Lamp.
They have Gas Lamp, and then Gas Lamp 2, TOO, not the number 2. So it's I don't know, hundreds of vendors and whatever, and you're definitely going to find something there. I have, oddly enough, the last time I went there, I bought paint, some of that chalk paint to paint something in my house. Fantastic. Anyway, but again, you go in, you look, you see, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And there's, just some really creative souls out there who repurpose things and make things out of other things that you're like, oh, wow, that's clever. I really enjoy that. I enjoy being around clever people. I like, getting new ideas from other people. So yeah, that's always great.
Well, I'm sorry you stuck with me today, but I'll try and be as clever as I can.
Even heroes have lice.
That's right. That one. So you're talking to the audience out there now. What do they need to know? What do they need to know that maybe they don't hear often enough about dentistry? That might be some helpful tips for them to take away. Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, if there was a way that I could just wash away everybody's unfounded fears, stories they've heard about horrible dental experiences. And again, dentistry has come a long way from, you know, the Egyptian times to now. Uh, we're real people, like the dentist and the staff that are caring for you. We're real people. We don't want to hurt you. We want you to come back. So we're
Right.
going to do everything in our power to make it a pleasant and hopeful experience for you. The other thing is, again, speaking about the pandemic and so forth, anytime that you get sick, uh, be it a simple cold or whatever, switch out your toothbrush because your toothbrush holds just cajillions of bacteria, and you don't want to keep contaminating yourself after you've somehow managed to get contaminated. So if you go through any sort of illness, switch out your toothbrush, start out with a fresh one, and then when you're over it, switch it out again. And you know what I'm saying? Like, don't keep using the same toothbrush forever. I know we say like 3 months, switch it out every 3 months, and that's just if you're, quote unquote, a normal person brushing twice a day, 3 minutes, 2 minutes a day, yeah. By the time the bristles kind of get all flat and
I think
useless.
that's a good tip, and I growing up hadn't heard that. But Australian dental care isn't included in their free medical, so we're kind of like the British in Australia. We have a lot of people with bad teeth, although that's changed in the 30 years I've left, I'm sure. But that's a good tip. Change out your toothbrush whenever you get sick, and then change it out again for what, $5 maybe,
Yeah.
whatever.
Or, hey, listen, at my office, if you call me and you're my patient, I'll give you a free toothbrush. We're not trying to hold on to these things. We really want you to use them. We really want you to use them. We're not hoarding toothbrushes. Sadly, that's right. In the pandemic, people were hoarding toilet paper, not toothbrushes. And I was like, please take toothbrushes.
Well, one of the things that I've always wondered, maybe you can answer or maybe you can't answer this, is there's 400 million toothpastes when you go to the grocery store. And most of the highly advertised ones have the ADA brand on them, right? Or approved by American Dental Associate. I see your eyes closed, like you're thinking, like, oh, I've got to be careful what I say here. But because this podcast will last forever, like 40 years from now,
It'll come back to haunt me. Yeah.
So, to me, it's well. Tell me what your thoughts are on all of these different branded toothpaste. Is there a basic one that you think what should people know about toothpaste?
Common sense, people. Common sense. Somebody else asked me this, and what is the best toothpaste? I said the one you're going to use. The purpose of toothpaste is to get that fluoride in your mouth to help kill those bacteria that make trouble for us.
They don't make a peanut M&M toothpaste.
Terrible. Terrible. I know it's a travesty. Right. But the one you like best, really, just the one you like best, the one that you will use. If you like, cherry flavored or strawberry, whatever. I don't even know what is out there now. They've come out with all kinds of new ones, like the charcoal one, the baking soda one, whatever. Again, no judgment. If you're going to use it, it's going to work. If you use it, it works, right? So there is, however, very specific, Sensodyne. There's toothpaste for like sensitive teeth, and I find that also is extremely useful for a lot of our patients. So I don't promote anything I don't personally use, and I don't discourage people from using what they are using if it's helping them and if it's doing the job, right? So again, if you're using Colgate that you've used since, whatever, Colgate was my family's brand. Like that's all we ever had in my house. Right. And that's all we ever used. So I had never switched out. And then I tried Crest and I like the flavor of Crest better, and then I tried Sensodyne at one point because I was having some issue with and I was like, oh my God, this stuff is amazing. I love this. So, and I've tried the charcoal toothpaste and it's great. It felt different in my mouth. It was a little different texture. So again, it's just whatever you like, whatever feels good to you. However, I will say this about toothbrushes. Obviously, electric toothbrushes are the best because it's like going to a car wash. I mean, if you hand wash your car, it's a little, it takes a little longer. You can probably do a better job. But electric toothbrushes, because most people literally just brush for like 30 seconds and they're out the door. Yeah, and I get it. So please use an electric toothbrush. If you're one of those quick brusher people, just use the electric toothbrush. Another thing, I had a jaw injury a long time ago, and I started using a baby toothbrush because the head is much smaller, and I could get it all the way to the back, and the back of your teeth. Yeah, that's really where like all the drama happens, is way back there, because the front, you can see it, and then if you're a poor flosser like myself, those what are they called, dentapicks, oh my gosh, I don't even know what they're called anymore.
The floss picks.
Yeah, the floss picks, thank you. Yeah, the floss pick, use those, and again, there's really no shame in it, because some people don't know how to, and I know this. I never used floss because I could never figure out how to do this two thumb thing or four finger thing. And they tried, and it was too much hassle for me. So I finally switched over to the floss picks. But if you're using it and your teeth are healthy, keep doing what you're doing. Right? I can't tell you how many people we've had come into practice who haven't been to the dentist in 5 years and don't have a single cavity in their mouth. And I'm like, look, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Whatever you're eating, keep eating it. And I can't tell you the number of people come in every 6 months, and it's always something new.
Right.
And I'm like, what happened? Well, they're truck drivers. They only eat fast food. They only drink carbonated soda, and I'm like, dude, please, whatever you can do to cut it back, do that, please, or come more often so we don't have to keep treating your cavities, So the dangers really are, and again, common sense. Use your you can. Most people can figure it out, right? If you're chomping ice with your teeth, yeah, something might happen one day. You might get a crack in that tooth. If you're popping open beer bottles with your tooth, which we had a patient, we had somebody come in. Talk about these emergencies. We had an emergency come in. Some guy was, showing off at the bar and popped a beer bottle with his teeth and lost a piece of a tooth. And I'm like, well, okay, it happens. Yeah, use your head. Yeah, use your head. Yeah.
Is HIPAA used in dentistry in Tennessee? Yeah, right. So
yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that I like that we do in America is that we have a lot of these protections over the patient. So if they're coming in and they're getting work done, it's private. It's not something that is talked about. Their name's not mentioned. I mean, you can relate a story about the beer bottle. You're not saying any patient name. You're not saying anything like that. But that to me is important too, is the privacy, is the quality of care. It's not your dad's dentistry, right? I mean, we're coming in, I was thinking the other day that, 1980, I was born in 67. So that makes me 55 as of 2022, end of 2022, when my birthday is. We say dentistry 40 years ago, and it's 1980. I mean, you don't think that 40 years ago is 1980, right? It used to be all the, in Australia anyway, was the gas, right? You'd get is it laughing gas or noxious? No, but things have moved on. The last dentist I was at, they didn't even have like a little spit sink. They get in there with the suction and the rinse and do it all. And it's just crazy. But the most important question, the one that's been on my mind all my life, and I've never remembered to ask somebody from a dental office.
Oh.
You squeeze the toothpaste from the bottom of the tube, or does it not matter where you squeeze the toothpaste in?
Definitely from the bottom. Otherwise, you're just a psychopath.
Okay, my wife is right yet again. I should be used to it. I'm like, what's it matter? It's plastic now. It's not what were the old tubes made of that were metal? Was that lead?
Aluminum.
Lead. Oh,
aluminum, yeah, aluminum.
The old aluminum tubes, and you get all crinkly and stuff. Well, now they're all plastic. You just sort of wind them up. I like those little things you add in the bottom, the plastic little doohickeys that you can wind up the toothpaste.
Yeah. Those are clever. Yeah, no, of course you can squeeze it from wherever you want. That has nothing. It's, again, common sense. If it's going to upset your wife, please don't do it.
That's right.
I don't want to see you on the news.
No, I'm married to the most wonderful wife in the world. Have been for 32 years. So I've learned happy wife, happy life.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right.
So, Griselda, thanks so much for being on the show. If somebody wants to get a hold of you or book a visit, what's the best way for them to do it? They're driving along in the car listening to their podcast. We'll have all the information in the show notes and on the video, but maybe you could let them know the website and how to contact you.
Yeah. So we're Stein Dental Care. That's STEIN. And it's www.stein.dental, not .com. It's stein.dental. And our number is 615-540-0888.
Say that one more time, the phone number.
615-540-0888.
Cool. And that was an interesting thing. A lot of people don't realize with domains that we've now got different domains for different professions. So we have a coffee shop in Wichita and it's .coffee. And so you've got stein.dental. Because I think I took the show notes and chucked a .com. Oh, she must have forgot that. So that was good information too. So it's .dental. Griselda, thanks so much for being on the show. Any last
Thanks, Ed.
or anything you want to add?
Hey, we'd love to see y'all. If you haven't been to see your dentist, it doesn't have to be us, but please go see your dentist.
Right.
They really do want to help you. If you don't have a dentist, of course, we'd be happy to help you. If you're thinking about switching dentists, we'd be happy to give you a second opinion. So yeah, just
And if
see your dentist.
If they need a referral out, you can do that too. If it's outside of the scope of of Dr. Stein's practice, you guys can refer.
Correct. Absolutely. We have a great network that we work with and people we trust implicitly with our patients. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all the information. I love your hidden gems. I haven't tried any of them, so we're going to go out and do that. I'm sure Alice will love the gas lamp antiques and this.
Yeah.
I'm not like traipsing around all day while she's looking at all that cool stuff, but you do these things.
Give her a day off. Give her a few hours to go through there. It takes a while. It takes a while.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much, Griselda.
Thanks, Ed.
This is the Nashville 2 podcast with your host, Edward Fox.